In the deep silence of space, a group of alien scouts floated near the dark edge of Earth's orbit. Their silver ships glimmered against the black void, their sensors sweeping for signs of life. For decades, Earth had been quiet. Too quiet. Then suddenly, one of the scanners began to scream. "Commander, we have a spike!" an alien technician shouted. His voice shook as lines of data flashed on the holographic display. "Energy output, off the scale." The alien commander frowned. "From where?" "Earth's orbit, sir." "But it's impossible. The reading shows power levels higher than a warship's reactor." The commander laughed coldly. "A glitch. Humans don't have ships left. Their world is broken, their fleet's gone. Fix your sensors." But before the technician could respond, the entire ship trembled. Outside the window, a blinding white light pierced through space, pure, silent, and deadly. A single streak of light crossed the void faster than sound, faster than thought. And then, a moon-sized asteroid, one that had been orbiting peacefully for centuries, simply vanished. No explosion, no debris, only a ghostly wave of dust expanding into the stars. The alien commander stared in disbelief. His crew sat frozen. What did the humans just do?" one whispered. Across the galaxy, alarms began to sound in every capital world. The Galactic Council, a massive ring station that orbited a red dwarf star, called an emergency session. Inside the council chamber, dozens of alien species argued, their voices echoing across the vast hall. "Humans were finished," one shouted. "They were banned from weapon research," another roared. "This cannot be them. No species could create that kind of power." But the evidence was clear. Sensor recordings from multiple systems all pointed to the same origin: Earth's orbit. The council leader, an ancient being with golden skin and cold eyes, slammed his clawed hand on the table. "If the humans have built something like this again, it could destabilize the galaxy. We must find out what it is." Far away, hidden behind the dark side of Earth's moon, a secret station floated in silence. Massive, black, and invisible to most scanners. Project Thunderstrike. At its center stood a man in a gray uniform, his face calm but hard. Admiral Mason Gray. He looked out through the thick glass at the railgun, a monstrous barrel stretching for kilometers into space. Magnetic rings glowed faint blue, humming with restrained power. "Charge levels?" Mason asked quietly. A young officer replied, "Stable, sir." The magnetic coils held perfectly during the test. The asteroid was vaporized, Mason nodded. "Good. Now let's make sure the galaxy knows what happens when they cross Earth again." Decades ago, Earth had lost everything. The last war had left cities in ruins, oceans poisoned, and billions dead. The alien coalition called it the Cleansing War, meant to erase humanity forever. But humans didn't die. They hid, they rebuilt. They learned from their mistakes. While the galaxy thought Earth was silent, underground bunkers and secret shipyards worked in shadows. Scientists used scraps of old alien tech to design something the universe had never seen. A railgun that could fire solid metal at near-light speed. They used magnetized asteroid cores as ammunition, powered by the moon's energy grid. Every shot could destroy a ship, or an entire fleet, without radiation or warning. It was more than a weapon. It was vengeance forged into steel. Back in the council chamber, chaos turned to fear. Reports came in from nearby sectors. Alien patrol ships were retreating from human space. Rumors spread fast. "Earth has a weapon that can kill stars." The council leader leaned forward, his voice trembling with anger. "We cannot allow this. If humanity rises again, we are finished. Send reconnaissance fleets. Watch their movements." But deep inside, even he knew the truth. The galaxy had awakened something they could no longer control. On the Thunderstrike station, Admiral Mason stood in the command room, staring at the glowing Earth below. He remembered the day the alien fleets had burned through human cities. He had been a young officer then, powerless as his home disappeared under fire. Now, he was the one holding the trigger. A voice came from behind him. Lieutenant Hannah Reeves, his second in command. "Sir, the Council will see this as an act of war." Mason didn't turn. His voice was quiet but firm. Then let them come. But why fire the test shot so close to their patrol routes? She asked. He looked at her for a long moment. Because they need to remember. They thought Earth forgot how to fight. She stared at him, realizing the truth. The test wasn't a test. It was a message. In the next hours, space around Earth filled with whispers. Drones recorded the blast. News networks across alien worlds replayed the footage endlessly, the instant an asteroid turned to dust. To some, it was horror. To others, awe. And to a few, it was hope. Hidden colonies of surviving humans across the galaxy watched in silence as they saw the light from the shot. Some wept, some smiled. The message was clear. Earth is back. But as the stars settled, Mason knew this peace wouldn't last. The Council would come. Armies would march again. He looked once more at the massive railgun stretching into the dark. The weapon hummed softly, waiting. "Prepare Thunderstrike," he said. "The galaxy wanted a quiet Earth. Let's show them what silence can do." The officers around him stood straighter. The room filled with cold determination. Outside, the moon's shadow moved slowly across Earth, hiding the weapon once more, but somewhere far away on alien worlds. Hearts began to tremble, because they all knew humans had unleashed something the galaxy would never forget. The alien rescue fleet arrived 3 days after the flash that shook the stars. They expected to find wreckage, maybe metal fragments or drifting debris. Instead, they found nothing. The space where the asteroid had been was a silent grave. Only thin clouds of glowing dust floated slowly through the dark. The magnetic fields were still unstable, crackling with energy. "Scan for survivors," Captain Vorn ordered. His voice was deep but uncertain. He had fought humans before, long ago, when they were weak and desperate. He had seen their ships burn. But this was something else. The scanners pulsed again and again. Then one of the operators shouted, "Sir, I have a signal. 2 clicks off the debris field." Vorn's eyes narrowed. "Show me." A small holographic image flickered on the display. A massive warship appeared, one of their own, from the Zyrek Empire. Its hull was broken clean in half, edges still glowing red from heat. The ship's reactors were gone. Half the crew's life signs blinked out one by one. "What could do that in one shot?" whispered an officer. Vorn didn't answer. He watched the slow rotation of the ship's remains. Every metal plate was shredded, as if some invisible god had reached out and crushed it between fingers of light. He ordered, "Recover the black box. We need to know what happened here." A small drone left the rescue ship, gliding toward the wreck. The silence was heavy, no sound, only the faint hum of distant radiation. When the drone entered the broken hull, the lights flickered and faded. Inside, it recorded bodies floating in zero gravity, faces frozen in fear. The last few seconds of their lives replayed in fragments through the recovered audio. "Contact detected. Energy spike from Sol system. Wait, it's firing." Then static. Then nothing. The data went straight to the Galactic Council. When the Council received the footage, panic spread like fire. Every broadcast screen in the chamber replayed the same terrifying moment. The Zyrek warship splitting apart without explosion. Without warning, just gone. Council leader Vesk slammed his claws on the table. This is not possible! That weapon was forbidden centuries ago." The scientist beside him, a tall, feathered being named Ral, spoke softly. "If this truly came from Earth, it means they've mastered magnetic acceleration beyond anything we imagined. A weapon like this, it doesn't destroy matter. It erases it." The chamber went silent. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward him. Vesk growled. "You mean to say humans, those savages, built a planet killer?" Ral hesitated. "No, not a planet killer, yet. But if they scale it up, yes. They could fire once and erase a moon." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some laughed nervously, others looked terrified. How could humans do this? They were supposed to be under watch. Didn't we destroy their fleets? No one had answers. Back on Earth's secret orbital platform, Project Thunderstrike, Admiral Mason Gray watched the Council's reaction through intercepted transmissions. A small smirk crossed his face. Looks like they got the message, he said quietly. Beside him, Lieutenant Hannah Reeves frowned. Sir, they'll come for us now. Every empire out there will want to control or destroy this weapon. Mason nodded. I know, but fear buys time. And time is what we need. He turned toward the window, where the railgun's dark frame gleamed under the sunlight. Its coils were cooling, tiny streams of vapor drifting away. The weapon looked peaceful now, like a sleeping monster. Sir, Hannah asked softly, what if they strike first? Mason's voice was calm, almost cold. Then we remind them that humanity doesn't warn twice. Meanwhile, in the outer colonies, news spread faster than light. On every alien world, people whispered the same words. The humans fired. Children asked what a railgun was. Soldiers sharpened their claws, uneasy. Politicians shouted for war or peace. Traders doubled their prices for any ship heading near Sol. The galaxy had lived in balance for centuries. But now, the balance was breaking. On the Zirek homeworld, Emperor Keth sat in his dark throne room, watching the destroyed fleet's data feed. His scales gleamed Lee. The Galactic Council chamber had not been this full in 100 years. Hundreds of alien species filled the massive circular hall, scales, fur, and metal skin glinting under the cold lights. The air itself seemed heavy with fear. The hollow displays around the chamber replayed the same silent footage again and again. A single line of light slicing through the void. A Zirek warship breaking apart in absolute silence. And then, darkness. Every leader watched in silence, some with anger, some with disbelief. Finally, the council leader, Vesk, rose from his high seat. His golden robes shimmered as his sharp voice cut through the noise. This act cannot go unanswered. The humans have violated every peace law we agreed upon. They have created a weapon of mass extinction. A deep-voiced alien from the Zirek delegation hissed. That weapon killed 50,000 of our soldiers in one instant. We demand war. Others shouted in chaos. They must surrender the railgun. Destroy Earth before it destroys us. They'll erase planets next. But among the storm of voices, one calm figure stood quietly in the center, a human woman. Her name was Dr. Elena Ward, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. She wore no armor, no weapon, only a simple black uniform with the emblem of the United Earth Alliance on her sleeve. Her expression was unreadable. When Vesk looked down at her, his voice dripped with contempt. Ambassador Ward, do you deny that your people fired this weapon? Elena didn't blink. No, we fired it. The entire hall gasped. Vesk's eyes widened. You admit to destroying a fleet of the Zirek Empire? Elena spoke slowly, each word cutting through the noise. We destroyed a fleet that crossed into our territory. A fleet that ignored 10 warnings. A fleet whose commanders once burned our cities. Vesk's voice rose in fury. That war ended decades ago. She nodded. For you, perhaps. Not for the families buried under your ashes. The chamber fell silent. Elena stepped forward and placed a small hollow disk on the floor. With a soft click, it began to project a recording. Grainy, dark, real. Alien fleets raining fire on Earth's surface. Cities burning. Children crying in shelters. And then, silence. This, she said quietly, is what your empires did to us 10 years ago. You called it the cleansing. You said humanity was too violent to exist. She turned slowly, looking at every alien face. So we rebuilt, and we remembered. The silence that followed felt endless. Finally, Vesk spoke again, his voice trembling with anger. You are playing a dangerous game, human. The Council can remove your species from the stars for good. We have the fleets. We have the power. Elena's gaze didn't waver. And we have the railgun. The room erupted into chaos again. Shouts, threats, curses. But she stood still, like a statue carved from iron. When the noise finally died, she spoke again, her voice calm, steady, and terrifyingly certain. Earth does not want war. But if the galaxy insists on one, we will end it the same way we ended the last one, with silence. Then she turned and walked out, leaving hundreds of stunned leaders behind her. Hours later, back on Project Thunderstrike, Admiral Mason Gray received the transmission from Elena. He stood in front of the large holographic screen as her face appeared. "They've issued an ultimatum," she said. "Surrender the weapon or face full-scale retaliation." Mason's jaw tightened. "And your answer?" "I told them no," she said simply. He smiled faintly. "Good. But they won't stop there," she continued. "They're mobilizing fleets. The Zyrek Empire is leading the charge. We have maybe 2 weeks before they reach Mars orbit." Mason nodded. "Then we finish the upgrades. Thunderstrike must be ready to fire again." She frowned. "Mason, listen to me. You know what will happen if you push that weapon beyond limits. The moon's magnetic core can't handle the pressure. You'll tear it apart." His eyes hardened. "If that's the price of keeping Earth alive, then so be it." The line went silent for a moment. Elena lowered her voice. "Sometimes I think we're becoming the monsters they always said we were." Mason looked out the window, the moon's surface shining pale under the stars. "Maybe, but monsters don't die easily, and neither do humans." Meanwhile, in deep space, alien armadas gathered, massive fleets stretching across entire systems. Hundreds of ships, glowing engines lighting up the darkness. Commanders barked orders, weapons powered up. The war drums of the galaxy were beating again. Yet beneath that noise, fear grew. Stories spread through the ranks about the Railgun's power, about how a single shot had erased a moon-sized asteroid. Some soldiers whispered, "If they can do that once, what will they do next?" Even the bravest captains had nightmares of light crossing the void and their ships disappearing into dust. Back on Thunderstrike, Mason stood with his engineers, watching as the railgun coils glowed faintly. "Status?" he asked. "Charging cycle stable," one of the engineers replied. "But if we push it again, the moon's crust will fracture. We need time to reinforce." Mason interrupted quietly. "We don't have time." He looked at the weapon, the same weapon that had made the galaxy tremble. It was humanity's shield, but also its curse. Every shot came at a cost. Every charge brought the moon closer to collapse. Still, he knew what had to be done. "Continue preparations," he said. "If they cross the red line, we fire." That night, Mason stood alone in the command deck. The stars outside looked peaceful, unaware of the storm gathering. He thought about Elena's words. "Sometimes I think we're becoming the monsters," he whispered to himself. "Monsters don't protect their home. They destroy it. We're not monsters. Not yet." Then he turned toward Earth, his home glowing blue and alive, and whispered, "Not while I'm breathing." On the other side of the galaxy, the Council prepared its official broadcast. The message would be sent to all human frequencies, every colony, every ship. The announcer's voice was cold and sharp. "By order of the Galactic Council, Earth is now under interstellar quarantine. Any vessel found leaving or entering the Sol system will be destroyed. Humanity has 1 cycle to surrender the weapon known as Project Thunderstrike." The broadcast ended with a chilling line. "Failure to comply will mean total extinction." When Mason heard those words, he didn't flinch. He simply turned to his crew and said, "Then they've chosen their path." The officers around him stood silent. Fear mixed with pride in their eyes. He looked at the massive weapon behind them and added softly, "Then so have we." Outside, the moon glowed faintly, unaware that soon it might burn brighter than it ever had before. The galaxy thought the humans had only one railgun. They were wrong. Deep under Earth's oceans, in the shadows of its mountains, and in orbit around Mars, other weapons were waking up. Mason knew this would be humanity's last stand. And as the stars shimmered above, he whispered, "Let them come." Because the humans had learned one truth. If you silence Earth once, it will rise again, louder than ever. The next day, across the galaxy, every major alien empire holds emergency meetings. On the giant screens of the Galactic Council Hall, the destruction footage plays again and again. One flash of light, one railgun shot, and a moon-sized asteroid disappears without a trace. Silence fills the hall. No one speaks for a long moment. Finally, the Zarthon representative growls, That weapon, it violates every treaty we ever made. Humans are not supposed to have this kind of power, but deep down, fear replaces anger. Because everyone remembers what humans are capable of when they fight back. Admiral Mason Gray stands in Earth's command center, calm and silent. Around him, scientists and officers whisper nervously. They all know what this means, but the galaxy will soon come for them. Sir, one of the officers says, the Council has sent a message. They want us to shut down Project Thunderstrike immediately. Mason stares at the holographic screen. And if we don't? He asks quietly. They say they'll send a peace fleet to ensure compliance. Mason almost smiles. A cold, tired smile. Peace fleet, he mutters. That's what they called the invasion fleet last time. Outside, Earth's orbital platform glows faintly in the dark, the railgun recharging, gathering magnetic energy from the moon's orbit. Meanwhile, on the alien homeworlds, panic spreads. Citizens demand answers. Rumors spread that the humans have a new energy source, one that could destroy planets. The media calls it the God weapon. The Zalari Prime Minister orders a secret fleet toward Earth's system. We cannot let them rise again, he says. If the humans return to power, every empire will fall, but not everyone agrees. Some alien races remember human mercy, the way they rebuilt colonies after the last war. The Theran ambassador stands in the council and speaks softly. You fear their strength. But maybe you should fear why they built it. The room goes silent. No one wants to answer that. Back on Earth, Mason Gray watches the transmission. He knows the Council will soon send fleets. But he also knows something they don't. The railgun isn't the only weapon. It's just the beginning. Dr. Ilara Voss, the lead scientist of Project Thunderstrike, walks up beside him. You think they'll come? She asks quietly. They have to, Mason replies. Fear makes them predictable. They'll come together, thinking they can control us. Ilara looks out the window at the distant stars. And when they do, Mason's eyes are cold. Then they'll understand why we built the railgun in the first place. A low hum vibrates through the station as the railgun powers up again, its magnetic rings glowing blue. Every rotation sends ripples through space, tiny distortions that reach far beyond Earth's system. In the darkness between Saint, the Galactic Council could no longer hide its fear. Every empire was demanding action. Entire trade routes shut down near Earth's sector. Civilian transports refused to pass through the Sol system. Everyone waited for someone to make the first move. That someone came from the Draylock Empire, proud, arrogant, and always hungry for power. Their warlords laughed at the Council's hesitation. They are only humans, one of them said. They hide behind one weapon. We will crush them before they charge it again. And so the Draylock fleet gathered, 300 warships armored like mountains, powered by stars. Their flagship, Obsidian Crown, led the attack formation straight toward Earth. News spread fast. Across the galaxy, screens flickered with the same broadcast. Draylock fleet en route to Earth. Billions watched in silence, waiting to see if the humans would fight back or be erased again. On Earth's moon, Admiral Mason Gray stood inside the control deck of Project Thunderstrike. His eyes were calm, but every heartbeat echoed through the station. Admiral, said Dr. Ilara Voss, watching the incoming ships on the holo display. They're approaching fast. They'll be in orbit in 2 hours. Mason didn't answer right away. He studied the readings, the heat signatures, the warp jumps, the gravitational ripples. He could see the pride of the Draylock in their formation. They think they're teaching us a lesson, he murmured. Ilara turned to him. Are we firing the railgun again? Mason shook his head slowly. Not yet. Then what's the plan? She asked quietly. Mason looked out through the viewport at the dark side of Earth. We let them see what they came for. Let them understand what they're standing against. Outside, the void shimmered as the Draylock ships arrived. Their fleet filled the stars like a metal storm, engines glowing red, weapons charged, pride burning brighter than their courage. Humans! A voice roared through the comms, echoing across frequencies. This is Grand Marshal Corps of the Draylock Empire. Power down your weapon and surrender Project Thunderstrike. You are not authorized to possess such technology. Mason pressed the comm switch. His voice was steady, deep. and quiet, the kind of calm that made others uneasy. "Grand Marshal," he said, "Earth does not surrender. Not to anyone." There was a pause, then a mocking laugh from the alien commander. "Then we will make you kneel." The connection cut. A second later, hundreds of missiles launched from the alien fleet, bright streaks of death heading straight for the moon. Inside Thunderstrike, alarms screamed. Officers shouted over each other. Alara turned to Mason. "Admiral, what do we do?" "Nothing," Mason said softly. "They won't reach us." And he was right. Before the missiles could reach the surface, the space around Earth shimmered. A faint distortion field flickered to life. The missiles vanished one by one, dissolving into dust and light. The aliens froze. Their sensors showed no explosions, no debris, only silence. What happened? One Draylock officer shouted. "Where are the weapons? They're gone," another whispered. Mason turned to his crew. "Activate Phase 2. The entire structure of Project Thunderstrike began to shift. Massive panels unfolded, rotating like the petals of a metallic flower. Inside, glowing rings aligned, not for a railgun shot this time, but for something else. Alara's eyes widened. "You're using the gravity field?" "Yes," Mason said. "Let them feel what a real weapon of defense looks like." The rings pulsed once. Space itself twisted. The Draylock fleet, still trying to reposition, suddenly felt their ships being dragged. Gravity fields spiked around them, crushing their formation, bending metal, twisting hulls. Ships collided, exploding into flames that vanished without sound. Then, just as suddenly, everything stopped. When the distortion cleared, only the obsidian crown remained. The rest of the fleet was gone. On the comm, a broken voice whispered, Where did they go?" Mason's reply was cold as the void. "They've been moved out of our system. Don't test Earth again." The message was broadcast to every open frequency. Every corner of the galaxy heard it. No one laughed at humans anymore. In the Galactic Council Hall, the representatives sat in silence, watching the replay. The Draylock Empire's pride had vanished in one instant. One alien delegate whispered, "They didn't destroy the fleet. They erased it." The Theran ambassador spoke softly. "Now you understand. They didn't build the railgun for conquest. They built it to stop what's coming." But no one asked what he meant, because deep down, they already feared the answer. Back on the moon, Mason Gray stood watching the stars fade into calm darkness. He knew this wasn't over. Earth's greatest secret was still hidden beneath the surface. Alara stood beside him. "You think they'll still come?" she asked. Mason didn't look away from the stars. "Yes," he said quietly. "And when they do, they'll learn that the railgun was only the beginning." The hum of Project Thunderstrike deepened, a storm of power waiting to wake again. The galaxy was silent. After the destruction of the Draylock fleet, not a single empire dared to send another ship near Earth. Trade routes shifted. Communication lines froze, and for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council feared not war, but one single world. Yet, on the moon, inside Project Thunderstrike, Admiral Mason Gray was not celebrating. He stood in front of the massive viewing window, eyes fixed on the stars, his face unreadable. Dr. Alara Voss entered the room quietly. "The Council sent another transmission," she said. "They're demanding answers. They want to know, what really powers the railgun?" Mason didn't turn around. "They wouldn't believe it," he said. Alara hesitated. "Maybe it's time we told them. The galaxy thinks we've created a doomsday weapon. They don't understand what it's really for." Mason's voice was calm, but heavy. "If we tell them, they'll panic even more," she frowned. "Then tell me. I built half of Thunderstrike, and I still don't know the full secret. What did you put inside it, Mason?" He finally turned, his eyes tired, shadowed by long years of silence. "It's not what we put inside it," he said slowly. "It's what we found." A decade ago, the secret discovery years before Thunderstrike was ever built, a research probe near Jupiter found something drifting in the dark, a small black sphere older than any known civilization. It emitted no heat, no light, but it distorted gravity itself. When scientists brought it back to Earth, everything changed. That sphere was not a weapon. It was a fragment of an ancient alien technology, something that predated the galaxy itself. The device responded only to human neural patterns. No AI, no alien technology could activate it. Somehow it recognized humanity, so they built Thunderstrike around it, not as a cannon of destruction, but as a shield. The railgun was only a shell, a cover for something far more dangerous and far more important. Alara stared in disbelief as Mason explained. "You mean the energy surge?" "The gravitational shock waves. That wasn't our doing?" "No," Mason said. "It was the artifact reacting. It's protecting us. Every time the railgun fires, it absorbs and releases cosmic energy, something far beyond our understanding." Alara stepped back. "Then, what happened to the Draylock fleet?" Mason's voice dropped low. "It didn't destroy them. It sent them somewhere else." Her blood ran cold. "Somewhere else? Where?" Mason looked toward the stars. "We don't know. The galaxy watches." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council finally broke their silence. Fleets of every empire gathered at the edge of Earth's system. They didn't cross the line, but their presence was clear. They were ready for war if necessary. Inside the council hall, the Tharan ambassador stood again, his voice echoing through the grand chamber. "You're all fools," he said. "You think the humans created a weapon to rule you, but they built it to prepare. Something is coming, and they are the only ones ready to face it." The hall erupted in argument. Accusations, denials, fear. No one wanted to believe it. But deep in their hearts, they knew the Tharan might be right. Because strange signals had started to appear near the galactic rim, signals that didn't match any known race or pattern. The stars themselves flickered in unnatural rhythms. Entire outposts had gone dark, and when the Draylock fleet vanished, sensors recorded faint distortions. From the same region of space, the final activation back on the moon, alarms suddenly blared. Alara ran to the console. "Admiral, something's happening! The artifact's energy is spiking again!" Mason rushed to the main display. On the screens, massive gravitational waves were forming near the outer colonies. "Is it the Council?" Alara asked. "No," Mason whispered. "It's them." "Them?" He nodded. "The ones the artifact warned us about." The entire control room went silent. Everyone could feel it, the tension, the pressure in the air, as if space itself was tightening. Mason turned to his crew. "Prepare Thunderstrike for full synchronization. We're bringing the system online." "Sir," Alara said, her voice shaking, "if you do that, we'll reveal everything. Every power in the galaxy will see what we've been hiding." Mason's eyes hardened. "Good. They need to see. They need to know what's really out there." The lights dimmed as Thunderstrike's core ignited. Energy flowed through every circuit, every ring, every magnetized coil. Outside, the moon glowed like a second sun. Then the artifact pulsed, once. Every ship across the galaxy, every planet, every sensor picked up the same signal. It wasn't words, but a voice of power that echoed in every mind. "The gate has opened." The final revelation. The galaxy froze. Stars flickered. Space itself began to ripple on the edge of known systems. Mason stood at the window, his